Oh, it's on. Hey there. I don't know. Let me know if you can hear me and where you are. I'd like to know that. And I'm gonna. Oh, I dropped D. I dropped. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Mayank. Mayank. India. Hey, yay! I'm glad you can hear me. You guys staying safe there? All right. Well, we got a lot of people already. You know, that's what I'm playing right there is Hello from BFLO. BFLO. I'm going to turn on the light. Hold on, sir. I don't know if this will help. Actually, does that help? That probably doesn't help. That's not bad. That's not bad. These are my computer glasses. See, these are my like regular glasses, but then I can't see that. So I have to change glasses. And you can watch my YouTube videos going way back and see all the different glasses I've had and the haircuts. Right now, my hair is kind of playing it tame. Oh, Buffalo, BFLO. Okay, sorry. So you're about you're 3 hours ahead of me. So that pattern I'm doing there, I just love that pattern because I don't know why it just fits really well to my fingers. It's kind of an abbreviated version of the Villa Lobos pattern from Etude number 1, I think. It starts on an E minor chord, and it's a 6-string finger picking pattern, and it's insane. So that's the beginning. So that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 16th notes is the entire pattern. It doesn't repeat itself. So it's always funny because that pattern, the Villa Lobos pattern, very, very popular piece. It gets performed a lot. You can find people play it 1,000 times better than me, but it's that turnaround. It's up here when you turn around and come back down the strings where it gets really hard. So what I did was I just did like a 5-string version of it, like that. So I'm just doing thumb on the 5th string, first finger on the 3rd string, thumb on the 4th string, see, and then 2nd finger, and then 1st finger, 3rd. So it's like, that's hard to see. It's only 6 notes. So I kind of try to do it on the downbeat. So it's like 30. It's like triplet 16ths. 1, 2. It's a really fun pattern to play. So any 5-chord or 5-note chord I can do that on. Rusky, this is my flamenco guitar, by the way. Look at that. It's beautiful. The difference between a flamenco guitar and a classical guitar, for one thing, this, you can't see it, but it has plastic pickguard right here. It's clear plastic. See if you can see the line if I get the light on. See, they did a great job. This is a Ramirez. They did a great job of hiding it because you do what's called golpes, which is tapping the top of the guitar. And if I did that, in fact, I think on my classical guitar, there's some dings in it because I was practicing before I got this one. I was practicing the Straley. Zach, what's up, man? So because of golpes, Golpe, they put these on here to protect the top, the wood. And then also the Raschiatos, which man, rasgueados are brutal hard. In fact, classical guitar, when I studied classical guitar, like, when I studied classical guitar, it's all interior muscles. You're grabbing strings and pulling them, like that pattern, that Villalobos pattern. You're grabbing like this. But with flamenco guitar, so much of it is pushing and the top of your hand. And man, when I would practice those rasgueados, and the hardest one to get was the 5. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, my tremolo picking, like, and that's also another interesting thing, is that's a 5-note pattern. So I'm basically going on the top 4 strings, 2, 4, open 4. So it's basically an E major chord with 2 B's in it, and the thumb is just going. See, the thumb is just the bass note, kind of doing that, and then on the top I'm doing thumb and then 1st, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. So the total number of notes per beat is 5. So these are groupings of 5. Which I don't know why I got that one down pretty quick, but I could do 3. Or you could. There's a bunch of different variations, so many different type of tremolo picking, just like rasgueado. There's some that are fairly easy for me, and some that I just can't do. And man, the top of my hand just throbs in pain. It's such a brutal. Flamenco is such an amazing art form. It's so cool, and I wish I could study it. I have a friend, Luis Conte, who's a very, very famous and great percussionist. He tours with James Taylor. He tours with Phil Collins, I think. No, not Phil Collins. That's someone else. But Luis Conte is an amazing percussionist, and I've worked with him many times. And he said he's got a friend in Spain, and the region of Spain, Andalusia, which is kind of the south. Let's see, that would be southeast. Yeah, it's kind of southern eastern area. It's a whole region, and all the different styles of flamenco music are kind of named for different cities in that region, and they all have their own thing. And he said basically this guy would sit with me and teach me. It's really, to learn flamenco properly is an oral tradition where you have to just have a teacher and a tutor, and you're basically, I guess, working with them for, a lifetime, which I don't have. If I had another lifetime, I might study flamenco guitar just the whole lifetime. Oud is another one where it's like, I fake it at oud. In fact, I did some oud yesterday. I did some flamenco yesterday. I worked on last night. I've been busy because I work from home anyway, and the gaming industry is kind of really busy right now, I think, because of the whole virus. Hey, you didn't miss me. That's awesome. Oh, you're not going to be getting any work done today, Kermit. Sorry. And so but I did. I worked on. I've done all the guitars for Apex Legend. If you're a gamer, you probably know it. And that's why I mentioned Twitch the other day. And you can watch people play it on Twitch, or even on YouTube. People upload videos. I think YouTube is probably going to do some similar thing where you can stream games live too. I'm sure of it. But anyway, I played a bunch of guitars yesterday on Apex Legends for a new character that they're going to launch. And it was the first time I'd done any acoustic instruments. Usually what I'm doing is some guitars, almost more just noise and sounds and effects. And it's been great because I've been really, that's part of the reason why I tuned that guitar, the one guitar to cluster. The cluster guitar was all tuned to E strings or D strings, 6 E strings, all the same. was to create weird sounds for games, particularly one composer that I work for a lot. The high jazz scale. Oh, I don't know that. It spell it out for me. Do you know that, like in A, is it not? I'm assuming it's kind of a minor scale. One of the things I need to do, I've really never done. I'm big on modes, and I want to do a lesson on modes because I've got a great way to teach modes that I've done for 30 years. And the problem is I don't have a dry erase board. And I think that'd probably be the best way to do it. I probably should just maybe go to church now that it's empty and go use one of their dry erase boards and teach a lesson. I could do it that way. I love teaching this lesson on modes because it really opens it up, I think, and makes it easy to understand. So I may do that soon. I actually created some PDFs that I loaded onto my television, thinking that maybe I could sit in front of my big screen TV and point on it. I don't know if that's going to work. I'm going to do some film tests on that and see if it works, because having that light behind me, I may have to, I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I would love to do that. So 1, 5, 2, oh, 4, really? Okay, 4. It's kind of almost pentatonic-y, isn't it? It's 6 notes instead of 7. It's a beautiful scale. Oh, you missed the 3. Okay, sorry. Mixolydian, yeah, that would be Mixolydian flat 6. No, not Mixolydian flat 6. So it's a major third. Yeah, it would be a no, see. What would I call that? Yeah, it's a hybrid of like 2 scales. It's almost like a Phrygian and a major. So a flat 2 and a flat 6 is a major scale. It's a major and a hybrid minor. Now, I got a question. Any suggestions for a good electric guitar for left-handed player? Yeah, it just depends. Sometimes hard to find in stores, good left-handed guitars. You know me, I'm like fine with a cheap guitar if it gets you going. Particularly cheap electric. And I think it's probably easier to find a Squire or something, a lefty Squire. Strats are harder to play upside down because everything's up here. Well, Les Pauls are probably not much better, but you can always string a regular guitar lefty and play it upside down. In fact, I was just watching RJ, who's one of my Ron Keogh, I think his name is pronounced. RJ is a friend of mine, but I can't pronounce his last name. But nobody can pronounce my. He's talking about there's a left-handed. They're going to make a left-handed Strat where the pickups are the upside down and the tuning pegs are upside down. Okay, but the electronics will be down here, in the plug, because the plug up here is really in your way on your arm, but the whammy bar is going to stay in the wrong position. So the bridge, the pickups, and the tuners are all going to be normal, but they're just going to reverse the electronics. So RJ Ronquillo, I think this is how if you follow him, you should really be watching him too. He's much smarter than I am. RJ is great. You can tell him I sent you, and he sent people my way. In fact, some of you may be RJ fans. Let's see, and then, but that's just a weird thing if you want that Jimi Hendrix sound, because a large part of the sound, I think, for the Jimi Hendrix thing is the fact that the string trees are reversed, or the strings are reversed. So normally when you play a Strat, I'll get one out here. Sitting here grabbing a headstock of a classical guitar. Okay, so normally when you play a Strat, the E string high E string is the longest and the low E string is the shortest. And that affects the tension of the string. The length of the string affects the tension. So if you reverse this, and now you've got the bass string down here. Now you've got it also affects the tone. You've got the low E string is going to be the longest string, and that's going to affect the tension. And the high E string is going to be a short string, and it's going to affect the tension a little bit. But see, this is the problem with all this. The electronics are here. So RJ was talking about this company that's going to make a guitar where all of the electronics are reversed, but the pickup stays angled this way, because that's part of Jimmy's sound, was the fact that this pickup is backwards how it should be. And then the whammy bar is still going to be up here. So, and it's weird to hold it, but, and you're also going to have less access. But that's, that's what he did, and it's kind of cool. Okay. So I got some other questions. I got coronavirus questions. Okay, you asked me about tremolo picking. My tremolo picking is pretty good. I use it on electric too. I think a lot of that technique comes into my funk playing too, believe it or not. A lot of my classical technique, a lot of my R&B and soul feel comes from the fact that I had when I auditioned for college, I had to audition for Butler, and I'd worked up some jazz pieces on classical guitar that I had, a crappy classical guitar that I had, and my teacher was like amazed at my left hand, but he said, your right hand is awful. And I was collapsed like this. My hand was collapsed. See, classical technique is more like this. I could do both. It depends on the style. If I'm doing more like let me get a sound up. Hold on a second. I got to turn on a hard drive and I can pull up. If I'm doing, you can't hear that, but you will in a second. And let me go to here and hard drive. Let me just go ahead and pull up what I was working on last night, although I really can't play it for you. So like I said, last night I was working on some Apex Legends stuff for a new character, and I was playing some acoustic instruments. I played oud on it too, which was fun. I love playing oud. Play Raise the Bar. Or Don't Go Far. Oh, you're still trying to get me to. That's funny. I want those to get released first, because here's my fear. I don't want someone, because those songs haven't been released. Technically, someone else could steal my idea or change it enough so that it could get released. And I have to make sure my mic's off. Hold on. Okay. So let's see. Let's do a new track. Let's mute these. New track. Input 2. All right. And so that's why I'm hesitant to show songs that I, let me pull up just a kind of a clean sound. I'm just scrolling through my folders of sounds here on Logic. Clean, basic clean. Too much reverb. Oh, yeah, a lot of reverb. I don't need that much reverb. If you're not familiar with Valhalla reverbs, they're great. A lot of major people use them. So, yeah, I'm sorry. As soon as I can, the crazy thing is Raise the Bar, and see, you call it Don't Go Far, but it's actually not called that. It's Always is the name of that song. And it was originally supposed to come out on the new Bieber record, and it didn't. And so was Raise the Bar, was potentially in the potential pile. I had 5 songs potentially to come out on that record, which would have been awesome, but I'm happy with the one I got. I think it turned out really, really good. Have I had any guitar related injuries? Hi from Scotland, Stuart. Stuart, what a great Scottish name. I'm actually part Scottish, I'm quarter Scottish. I have not. Well, yes, I have. One time, my hands sweat really bad. That's kind of why I use, and this is not. I mean, I endorse Elixir strings, but it's one of the reasons why I use Elixir strings, because they do tend to last longer. These are not Elixir strings. I just got this guitar and they're already worn out. This is one of my new cheap guitars, and I haven't done anything with it yet because I kind of like the sound of it. little distorted. I can clean that up, but I kind of like the sound of this one, so I haven't had a chance to do some weird restringing with it. I have to come up with I have a concept actually. I just ordered strings and got them, but that's why I started using Elixir strings, because my hands sweat so bad. And so one time I use 10s generally. These are 9s, but I usually use 10s. And I was sliding up, and on my third finger, the string cut right into my callus, and it literally was stuck. The string was stuck in there, it started bleeding. And I mean, it was brutal. It was very, very tough to play on. I had to actually, I used the paint on band-aids, those things that kind of worked, but it still could catch under there. And so I did it again. And that was even worse the second time, because it was like, oh. So then I just started playing with a band-aid on my finger, which is a drag, one of those kind that go like this and then wrap around. And it was, totally messing with the tone. It was just like, oh, yeah, this sounded awful. But it got me through, and I literally had to do it for about 3 or 4 weeks. When I played classical guitar, I didn't have to wear it. But anytime I played anything with steel strings, I had to wear it. That was a horrible injury, not really bad. I hurt my wrist when I was younger. I was bulking out, trying to get buff, and back in the 80s. And I was bench pressing 250. That was my goal. And I went to my goal way too fast, and I sprained my wrist. And that's when I said, I can't I'm not going to do weights anymore, because it really made it difficult to play. And I was, back then I wasn't gigging in sessions so much. So I was teaching lessons, but I couldn't practice like I wanted. So I kind of had to refine my practice routine for a while. So, okay, let's see. I got some questions. High jazz scale. Thank you for that. That's really cool. Is high jazz scale? I don't think it's not a mode of, it may be a mode of harmonic minor. Is it a mode? Let's see. B harmonic minor would be, no, or B flat harmonic minor. Let's see. So if it was, no. Yeah, so it's not a mode of harmonic minor. And that's one of the things I want to get into too, is all the modes of harmonic minor. I use them a lot so like if you take D, so the D harmonic minor is, okay. But if I did G harmonic minor over this, so when I, like with oud, you have a D, you have three strings on the bottom, D, G, and A. You have the root and the fourth and the fifth in D, at least the way I tune my oud. And then so you kind of have that, and then so if you play a D in the bass, and then you do a mode, a harmonic minor mode, it just sounds. It just sounds very Middle Eastern. That's what people expect to hear on those situations. But I'm sorry, Mayank. I apologize about that. Let's see. What is the name of your classical guitar you were playing? Oh, that one is I'll give you the model number. It's an FL2. It's a Ramirez flamenco guitar. And I meant to say, so the wood is different on a flamenco guitar on the back and sides. This is a spruce top. And the back and sides are, dang it, I should know all this. I'm really bad at this kind of stuff. And I knew it probably 5 times and forgot it. It's like ohmage. I've had ohmage explained to me 100 times, and every time I've forgotten it within 5 minutes. So thus I've blown up amps. Well, not really. I've blown up 1 amp. But yeah, the body is also a little bit narrower. And the reason they do that, and the wood, this is harder wood. My classical guitar is a Brazilian rosewood. This is, I can't think of the name of it, but it's a beautiful yellow wood. Let me turn this up. And the body is narrower, and that allows because flamenco guitar is so much more percussive than classical guitar. Classical guitar generally is a softer, maybe a soloistic instrument. Flamenco guitar is more of an accompaniment instrument. So you're accompanying a singer and a dancer with metal things on their feet, shoes. So they're making a lot of noise. And you've heard castanets too. So classical or flamenco guitars really need to be loud and jump out at you and be bright. and because they're competing with so much. The singers sing very loud and very strong, and it's really that kind of thing. It's such an amazing instrument. There's not a lot of like, I mean, there are solo pieces for flamenco guitar, but really a lot of the things that are called solo pieces are really accompaniments. They're just amazing. And like I said, I wish I could study flamenco. I wish I could spend another lifetime studying flamenco guitar because it's such a beautiful instrument, but it's also very frustrating. So like I said, when I started classical guitar, my classical guitar teacher said my right hand was awful and my left hand was amazing. So he spent the entire freshman year hammering me on my right hand. I mean, back in the day when teachers could hit you, he'd like slap my wrist when I collapsed it. You know, I'd be like this, and then I would slowly collapse it while I was playing a piece. I wouldn't even concentrate. Boom, and he'd slap it, and then I'd do this, you know, bring it back up where it's supposed to be like this, and then I'd slowly collapse it. He'd be like, "Stop it," you know. And I was just so used to okay, so let's see. Injuries. Okay, talked about that. What's the name of your classical guitar? I got that. ETA is a bop. Thank you so much. I wish it was a single. Maybe. Who knows? I was like, I tweeted to Uber and Lyft and United, basically saying, hey, at United, what's your ETA? And then I put a link to the song on YouTube. I'm trying to get them to use it for their commercial. Of course, now United is not spending any money right now, but Uber and Lyft. Oh, I know. Taringa is great. I've got a ton of Taringa music. I don't have any sheet music in front of me right now. I'm lousy at memorizing pieces. Villalobos is one of my favorite. Taringa is great. Also, I'll play another song in a second here if I can think of it. Hey, Jenny, how's it going? Good to see you. Also, somebody asked me about, so you're good with teaching good to play scales. Turn to music, several ways to play a scale. Is one way better than another? There's different ways. It's interesting. There's a lot of ways. The coronavirus thing, you guys, you're here because we probably don't want to talk about that. That's part of the reason why you're watching. If I start talking about the coronavirus, you'll turn me off and turn the news on. I do think it's kind of overblown, but that's not something you can know in the now. Backwards, we may look back on it. You know, I'm hoping the term coronavirus sounds like puka shells. It's like one of those things like, oh yeah, remember the coronavirus? I mean, the Asiatic flu in 1957, I think killed 100,000 Americans, and that was back in 1957, maybe 200,000. So this, we'll see. Let's see. Was doing daily listening the other day, and I noticed it sounded like you were slapping the guitar. Yes, I am slapping Kermit. I am slapping the guitar on Raise the Bar, and I'm not sure on the version of Raise the Bar that's the version that's on YouTube is not the final version. Originally, that was what I did, but then Dan Cantor and Andrew Watt wrote a B section to it, but they couldn't play it. So I had to come in and play the whole thing again and figure out a way to play their B section, which had a lot more chords in it. And so I had to kind of calculate it because it's done in a weird way. So let's see. Part legend then. Let's see. In the middle of cooking. Okay, well, Jenny, you can put me on your iPad then, right? Hello from West Virginia. I can count 10 guitars in the room. That's a lot. I have a lot of guitars. There's more than that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 in the room with me right now. And I was just working. So last night I used this one. This is a pretty fun instrument. It's a Telecaster Baritone. And the reason I got this was because I had a Dan Electro Baritone, but it has just those single coil, those lipstick pickups, and they're really noisy. And the Baritone is great for the stuff. And so I was using it last night on Apex Legend, and the Baritone, as you can see, has a humbucker. So I can just throw it in the humbucker position. Here, I'll play you something so you can hear it. I've done this before on the live stream. And I did a review of this guitar. It's actually one of my more popular gear reviews because there are not many reviews of it. So if you look up in my, here's the sound I used. It's just my typical kind of, I was doubling, let me unmute. Play that scale. That's the cool thing about that scale. You call it the high jazz scale. I've never heard that term, but it's got 3 half steps in a row, which is cool. So the root, the second, third, which that kind of chromatic movement you can do on every chord. So like I play this looks like an A chord, but it's really a E chord. But I was doubling some cello. So here's some music. Last night I was doubling cello just to see if it would work. It was like and if I go to this, you can't hear the hum because I got a noise gate on, but I'll turn off the gate and you can really hear. You might be able to hear that. A lot of hum. So these are single coil here, but here that's humbucker, so it's really quiet. If I turn off the gate here, just hiss from amps. So that's kind of why I use this. The string gauge on a baritone Tele, that's a good question. If you look up just electric, if you look at anybody that makes electric guitar strings makes electric baritone strings now. So normally I would have a 46 on the E string. So I'm assuming this is probably like a 54, 56, something like that. So it's got, I probably should go almost with a, and so it's a wound G, the third string is wound, okay? I could even do a wound second string because sometimes you go sharp on it. It's real easy to go sharp on that because it's kind of on the loose side. So if I went with a heavier gauge and then tightened it, it would be tighter and it would be less likely to go out of tune when you play it. Let me catch up on some of these questions because I really want to be here for you. Cordova, and I've taken lessons. I love the classical guitar. Yeah, it's just Pepper. That's great. So good. Hey, Julie Garcia. Oh my gosh, you're the best. Are you kidding? I love watching you on. Julian's going to be a very well-known guitar player, songwriter someday. I guarantee it. You're going to know his name. Let's see. Steve Bright and the black guitar. Oh my gosh. You bought this guitar and I'm about to do some serious mods to it. Oh, I just bought this guitar. What guitar did you buy, Steve? Oh, I see. You got some more questions. Are they 70? Oh, I don't think this is a 70. I don't think it goes near that low or that big. Let me look it up because these are elixirs. So go to Sweetwater. Just look up elixir baritone electric. Baritone electric, which you could do this faster than I can, but just to give you a sense of what it is, I guarantee you it's probably if there's 2 sizes, I probably went with light elixir baritone. Oh, it just showed up electric baritones. Where are the strings? Huh. I mean, this is, if we're going to be homebound, well, it's interesting that this, so I don't see, here, elixir, no bass strings, baritone. Oh, 8-string baritone. Now that's 8-string baritone. Well, I don't know. Acoustic. Oh, that's the acoustic version. That's the acoustic might go up to 70. That's very likely. Surely they've got electric baritone. I'm not seeing it. Electric guitar 8-string line. I don't know what it's so weird. But the D'Addario is 13 to 62, and then the medium gauge is 14 to 68, so almost 70. But on my acoustic baritone, I probably definitely have. Sorry, I have to close this window. Wait, where are you guys? There you are. On my acoustic baritone, I probably does have a It probably does have a 70 on the bottom on the electric, on the acoustic. Sorry. Do I play any gypsy jazz tunes? Only ones that I wrote. I'm assuming that's Jan. Jan, I love gypsy jazz. Again, I wish I had another lifetime because the people that are good at the gypsy jazz stuff have pretty much done it their whole lives. It's really the only way. I mean, to be that, I can fake it for commercials and movies and TV shows. But if someone called me and said, hey, we're doing a gypsy jazz record, you want to be the guitar player? I'd be no, because people listen to records over and over again. And the expectation on records is a lot higher. But oftentimes when I'm playing on a TV show or movie or things like that, and I've done a lot of pieces, I can play one of my pieces for you. In fact, I think I've uploaded some to YouTube. Let me check. YouTube. Go to my channel. Search. Hopefully it won't play my trailer. Okay. Oh, I'm live now. Hey, I'm live now. Paris. I think my search. No, see, I'm not. Let me try this. So I could, because I want to give you a link. No, I'm not seeing it. I know okay, so I'm going to go to my channel. I'm going to click on playlists. I'm going to go down to all playlists, created playlists. I have songs up here. And so I'm pretty sure original songs, there's 11 in there. Let me view that playlist and see if any of these are Baritone Paris. Yeah. So this was, gosh, here's one. I don't know if you could hear that right now. Sorry, this makes for a really exciting stream. Live stream. I can't believe 20 people are watching me surf the web. Surf my own. You got a Squire. Yeah, you're gonna do some fun stuff with it. That's totally awesome. It's great. That's the other thing. If you're an aspiring guitar repair person, or you really like to mess with pickups, I would love to be able to have that skill. My son Alex can do that kind of stuff. I might start. One thing I would like to do is maybe I think this would be a great idea, is take one of my Squires and put one of those sustainer pickups in it. And then that way it would be like having an EBow on every string, because I do a lot of stuff with EBow. I love for soundtracks. I'm giving away a secret here, but this is called Pro Guitar Secrets. Here's a sound that I've used. It's such a great sound, EBow on a guitar with a slide. And I would love to have a guitar where every string just does that, so I could play any chord. I could do, I could do my I could do it on the cluster guitar and have just like chaos. I think that would be really, really cool. So so anyway, I think this link. Let me click on it because it was a really long link. No, don't leave slide. Okay, never mind. And see if I have another one. I have some classical pieces up here too. Let me see if I can. Oh, I can share the copy. Okay. So I think I only have one classical guitar piece. Gypsy jazz piece up here on this. Here's the playlist. There's some classical pieces. So check it out. Listen to it. There's some classical pieces. There are some just weird experiments on baritone, on high strung, things like that. So I can post more. I've got more gypsy jazz stuff. Let's see. Speaking of Home to Mama, speaking of Home to Mama, well, thank you for that. That one's not on streaming anymore for some reason. I got to find out why that is. I'm in the process of signing a deal with Cobalt. A publishing deal with them, so just kind of waiting for them to get back to me on some stuff. But basically, maybe they can help me figure out what's going on with that. But and you're still, it's 1:30 a.m. Well, don't get sick. So let's see what else. Well, what else? What else was I going to talk about today? Because I really didn't want to talk about the coronavirus. Because, like I said, you guys could turn me off and turn on the news and get your earful of that crap. And it's like, you know what? If we're going to be stuck, this is really a great. And my goal was, oh, cool. If we're going to be all like stuck in our houses, and I'll start working on my record, right? That's what I'm thinking. And then I've just not been stopping. My work has just been on fire because so many. Well, like I do a lot of gaming things. I've done 3 games this week and 2 movies. And so anybody that's putting movies out on, like I work on a lot of movies that are coming out on TV and stuff like that. So those will still come out. I mean, the movie theater stuff that may be done for a month or 2. Again, this is not going to be the housing bubble crisis that we didn't know when that was going to end, and it did take a long time. This is a flu season. This is a season, so it could be 2, 3, 4 months. And so the financial impact of it, it's tough for a lot of people because a lot of people are not working right now. And that's really, my prayers are out for that. My church, of course, we have a big church and it's of course closed. We're in California. It's one of those mega churches. And we are doing our service today. In fact, if you go to, I think it's, let me find the Shepherd Church, because you can watch live. We're going to be performing our service, but we're going to broadcast because we have a very, very big media team. So if you want to, you can do this any Saturday or Sunday. You can always watch me perform. I don't like to use that term in reference to worship, but we're only going to do 3 songs. And then the pastor's going to speak. So the whole service probably be an hour. And we are, we're still doing it, but nobody's going to be in the room. We have a 3,500 seat sanctuary, and we generally fill it up 3 times every weekend. So we have about 10,000 people every weekend. And last weekend was a little, my Instagram is The Straley. It was a little light last week, but also last weekend was daylight savings. So Saturday was normal, but Sunday was definitely light. And we do have a lot of older people in our church. So it was just, we weren't asked to close. We just closed. So we're going to do Saturday service at 6 o'clock live, and then they're just going to rebroadcast it. So for the first weekend in a long time, I'm going to actually not have to get up Sunday morning, which is really, I'm afraid I'm going to get really used to this. So we'll see what happens, but I'm playing guitar this weekend. It's a great band. Walter, the drummer, he played percussion on all the Disney Frozen, anything Michael Giacchino, David Holmes composed. He's on, he played on Star Wars movie. What was the one that was filmed or recorded here that Michael Giacchino did? Rogue One. So Walter played on Rogue One. He played on the Frozen movies, a lot of the Disney movies. He played on a great soundtrack that Michael Giacchino did was for The Incredibles. Walter's on that. He's not playing drums on that. The drummer on that in the horn section. Oh my gosh, if you want to listen to an amazing soundtrack, listen to The Incredibles. It's the funnest soundtrack. So Walter is like an A-lister session guy here in town for films. And so he gets called for that. He's on that list. Oh, wow. A lot of delays on this sound. Okay. Hold on. You got a question? You're a minister as opposed to perform, right? Yeah, exactly. I didn't mean the word perform. I always say, when I have an audience of 1. So it's, in my head, it's not gonna be any different. But we do have a really good camera, everything. We have big giant screens. You'll see if you watch the service. You can bookmark it. Like I said, watch it later. 6 o'clock. So 5 hours from now is when it is. And I guarantee you, Yank, you're going to be in bed by then. You better be in bed by then. I don't know how old you are, but I'm going to get you in trouble with your parents. Play I Would. What's I Would? I would. I don't know that one. But you were talking about that one. That's everybody calls "Don't Go Far." It's actually "Always" is the name of that song. I'm pretty sure. Justin Bieber, "I Would." I don't know that one. Is it on the new record? I only played on one song on the new record. And it's the one that I wrote, which was. Came out in 2013. Oh no, but I did play. Let's see, what did I play on? I played on one of the Christmas songs. I played on a couple songs on Journals. I played on Confident, and I also played on. Actually, it's a great song, Flatline on Journals, which was it's not. I think it's on the Journals now, but originally it was a free one on iTunes. And remember when iTunes used to do that weekly free song? I got so many songs in my library, some pretty mediocre ones, but I remember Moving Pavement, which was Adele's first single. That was a free iTunes one. And the first time I heard that, I went, wow, she's great. That was amazing. Turn to You, right? Oh, yeah, I played on Turn to You, right? In fact, that was that hook that was it? I can't remember how it goes now. I did a lesson on it. That hook was written by Justin's tutor. So back before he turned 18, he had a tutor, and yeah, it was not his guitar coach. It was just his tutor. They kind of wrote that song together, and then I came in. They gave me 5% because I wrote the chords under the bridge, and that was the first time they'd ever done that. But I hadn't written anything before, so. Oh, it's on the acoustic record. I Would. Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember that one. I don't know that one, but he means I Would by Justin, but don't think of. Yeah, it's Justin Bieber song. Yeah, I don't think I wrote I Would. I would remember if I wrote I Would. So let's see what else we. So anyway, I hope you all are able to. I mean, if you're a student, just keep being a student, keep learning. If you're not a student and you're stuck at home, be a student, because that's what I'm going to do. I've got, I'm going to work on my flamenco. I got my flamenco out. I'm going to work on my oud. I'm going to work on my gypsy jazz stuff. I mean, like I said, I wish I had 3 more lifetimes just for those 3 pursuits. And then I was playing charango on something last night, and I'd go get it, but it's in the other room, and I don't want to leave this. I don't want to walk away from you. It's bad enough that I'm surfing, going, trying to look at the screen, and you guys are like watching me do this. That's bad enough, but if I leave the room, that's even worse. But I was playing charango, and my charango is just literally a charango that a composer I work for brought back for me from Peru, and he probably paid $5 for it or something like that. And it's just not great. But I hesitate to buy one online because they all look exactly like that one. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to pay $400 for one I already have. That's a piece of garbage. But when is the Making a Song series going to come out? Now it might not be a bad series. I could see doing something like that. I was thinking about doing some live streaming on Twitch where I am writing music for TV. Because I'm working on several shows right now, all reality shows. So they're kind of like library songs. They're not scored to picture, so I wouldn't have any fear of anybody seeing anything. Like a lot of times when I'm working on movies, they'll send me scenes that I'm adding guitars to, so that I can see the scene to help sell it a little bit more, to know my dynamics and everything like that. And it's kind of helpful to have that movie file. And it just drops right in, and everything lines up with it. It's great. So then I can just start playing along with it. And so I wouldn't want to live stream those because, that's kind of one of those non-disclosure kind of things. But the tunes that I'm working on for TV are generally for library use for reality shows. And so, the record project new episode. I know. You're right. Tom's right. That's just, this is not a universal term, but I haven't done bupkis on that. Somebody want to explain bupkis? Bupkis. Bupkis. Bupkis, I think. Maybe 2 S's. Bupkis. It means nothing. I haven't done nothing on it. So I need to work on that. Yeah, one tune I like that I have on that is like. That's it, yeah. And it's kind of like, it's kind of a Jimi Hendrix. It's called Slinky. It's kind of a Jimi Hendrix meets Terry Kath, who's an amazing guitar player. If you don't know who Terry Kath was, he was the original guitar player in the band Chicago. And there's all these misquotes. I don't know. I hate to misquote Jimi Hendrix, but I believe somebody asked Jimi Hendrix, what is it like to be the greatest guitar player in the world? And he said, I don't know. Ask Terry Kath. That may or may not be true, but Terry Kath, he was the guitar player for Chicago, the band Chicago. And I mean, you listen to that first album, their first record, they were just kids. I mean, they were like 20, and it was a double album. They had so much music. I think their second record was, Chicago 2 is, I think, also a single record, but they had so many great sounds, and so many great, and then there's just like experimentation, because this is a double album. There's like something called Purple People Eater or something like that, where Terry Kath is experimenting with feedback for 8 minutes. It's not particularly listenable, but it's interesting. So I really recommend checking him out. Yellow Raincoat. Yeah, Yellow Raincoat. That's the one I wrote. Yeah, me and Justin wrote that in an afternoon. I think I told the story on that one. So, okay, Michael, Michael, you're retired. Hey, how you doing, Michael? Good to see you. This is a good time to kind of get all up into your YouTube and watch all those videos you've been wanting to watch. Mine, but not just mine. There's better videos than mine out there. Any advantage to drop D besides power chords? Well, just to give you that extra range. There's a piece that I was going to play, but I don't have it memorized. But there, a lot of classical guitar pieces drop down to drop D. I can't remember. But it says, shoot, what is that? See, if I had the music in front of me, I could read it, but I don't want to. That's also in the other room, and I don't want to do that to you. But yeah, there's definitely. It's anytime you have something in D, it's nice to drop down to D. The only thing is you have to remember to change how you're fretting the bottom string. I don't even have free time right now, but I have exams going on. Yeah. Well, that's why you're up all night. You're studying for your exams, right? Oh my gosh, I'm keeping you from studying exams. Oh, Canon and D, yeah. Is it the Paco Bell? You could do it in D. I don't think I generally, when I played it at weddings, I don't know if I've dropped D tuning or not. To be honest, I can't remember. And when I play, I've done Jesus. I've done that in D, but I don't drop D. And then G. Yeah, and G too. I learned it in G originally, and then I kind of transcribed it off of Leona Boyd record or a Christopher Parkening record. There's low D2. Yeah, the other nice thing about drop D2 is you can do those second chords like this. So there's a power chord, just the bottom 3 strings. So that would be G, that'd be F, E, D. If you want to add a third, you can easily add a second. It's a lot easier than going like this. So that's one small advantage to a drop D. I like double drop D for slide, because when you do double drop D for slide, do you see what's over here? Let's see. Hold on. Oh, dang it. I put the. Okay. Let's see. It's got a capo on it right now. That's just because I was playing in B flat or something. I forget. Dirty pot. Ooh, out of tune. Like what? 12 strings, you spend half of your time tuning them and half of your time playing out of tune. But the problem was I put it in the stand with the capo above it instead of like, that's why it's out of tune. It was in tune last night when I used it. My son picked that up the other day and proceeded to play like 3 Smith songs with on 12 string. It's like, oh, dang it. How do you know so many songs? It's like he's 27 years old and he knows. Hey, you got one more exam. Good for you. Life is a big exam. Also, just so you know, life has 100% mortality rate. Just we're all mortal. So when they talk about mortality rates, it's like, yeah, life is 100% mortal. Life is a death sentence, right? Okay, let's see. What else? Oh, he supposedly said that about Phil Keaggy. Who said about? Oh, he said that about Phil Keaggy. I've heard that too. I don't know. I've heard that quote as well. I mean, Phil Keaggy's great. I've met Phil. I actually met him at a friend's funeral, and he was a mutual friend of both of us. Let's see. What else? Okay, so I do want to do a video on modes, and I have a piano right here. You can't see. Can I do this? And you still can't see it. You can see my coffee and my crotch, but not my piano. Okay, so I have. Sorry, there we go. Get the guitar in there. I have a lesson on modes, and it's largely kind of piano based, and it's a lot easier to see the basics of modes on the piano than it is on guitar. So if I do this series of understanding the modes, it will probably be. I won't use a piano per se. I may still have a guitar in my hand, but I will have a piano keyboard, because I use the piano keyboard to show you the 7 different modes. It's very easy because on the piano you just go white key. You can do all white keys and have all the different modes of C. Just going C to C is a mode. That's C major or Ionian, and then D to D, all white keys. That's D Dorian. And then E to E is E Phrygian, all white keys. F to F is F Lydian. And then G to G is Mixolydian. It's been a while since I've talked about this. A to A would be A Aeolian, or also known as A minor. And B to B would be B Locrian. And that's a weird one because Locrian does not have a 5 chord. So all the other ones technically have a 5 chord. See, C would be D. That's D Dorian. Sounds different than D minor. D minor would have a flat 6. So you have D minor, D Dorian, and then E Phrygian. And E Phrygian is interesting because it starts with a half step, so that's beautiful. But it still has a 5 chord. So it has that 5/1 resolution technically still. It's a B diminished, but not really a strong resolution. But and then F to F. See, that's Lydian. It's a major with a. I could. So I could do 2 cameras, can I? See, I need to learn this. Where's a button though to switch cameras? Or if I could have 2 cameras in the shot. Participants, yeah. I don't know. I guess I'd have to run through some kind of router or something. Yeah, you can always start learning theory That's kind of what I'm teaching you right now. So here's F Lydian. Okay, F major sounds like this. F major is a do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, and Leonard Bernstein used that for Maria in. I think there's several songs in West Side Story that are in Lydian mode, but it's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful scale. And then Mixolydian, G Mixolydian is also one note different than a major scale. So G major is. You notice how my pinky stays out? Okay, I was just watching Eric Johnson play with Rick Beato, and I was amazed at how he tucks his pinky in it. His pinky's always moving, even if it's not doing anything. And I was like, that was me before I disciplined my finger not to do that. And it's so funny. It's freaking Eric Johnson, and I'm like trying not to play like Eric Johnson. But I didn't know he played. That's the first time I ever noticed that. But so G major and then G Mixolydian. So that's good for a G7 chord. So if you're playing over a set like blues, you can do G major, G minor blues. Or you can go to G Mixolydian. It's a totally different sound. Still cool. It's a little bit jazzier sounding, but it can still be bluesy, and you can combine. I like to do hybrid scales. Anytime you do that, you're kind of doing a G minor blue or minor blues to a Lydian kind of vibe. Mixolydian. And then you can also do. I like. I've did a video on this a long time ago. Mixolydian pentatonic. So you got the B. I like that a lot. And then A minor would be, see, we're on A, so I can go down to. And then, of course, B Locrian, which is the one. If you play that just up, it wants to resolve to C. So by itself, we used to in music theory in theory class back in the 70s and early 80s, we'd say it was theoretical. It was a theoretical mode, meaning that you derived at it theoretically, but would you actually use it? Sure, I actually wrote a song. Let's see. Okay, Bimo, you need to get. Oh, piano cam. Yeah, I'll check with my Sweetwater rep. Sweetwater rep. Sweetwater repper. I can't say it. OBS. If I'm using it, what's OBS? No, I'm using a iMac, and I'm using Chrome because I find that Chrome works better than Safari for this, and I'm just using the iMac camera, but. It's fine. I can definitely do two cameras if I'm going to do for my actual videos. That would not be a problem. So your baby left you. Another thing I noticed, like if you drop down D, it's not a perfect tune, but. One time I was in open G and I just did a normal lick that I do. So I'm in C basically. I love that. And normally that would be if this were tuned up to E, but it's tuned to D. So it lowers that C down to B flat. So now I'm playing the seventh. And so instead of pulling off the seventh, which I could do, would be cool, be redundant, but cool. I lower that seventh on the second string down to the sixth. And then I still got the major triad. Little buzzy. But it's cool having that tuned down. But then if you're just playing, you're like, oh shoot, everything becomes a seventh chord. You're like, oh, I forgot. So I sometimes will do it though, just for a solo or something. So I have it as an option. It's kind of like having a B bender and then having the B string tuned down to A and bending it up and stuff. So actually, I kind of like having that root note on my third finger because you can really get into it with the third finger. First finger, it's really hard to dig in with tremolo with the first finger. A little meatier to dig in that. So when you've got the E string tuned down to D, then that becomes that. But let's go back. Okay, that's a great question. How do you figure out the chords of a song? I should do a lesson on that. The first thing I do is I start out with a bass note. And the bass note could be deceiving because it could be what's called an inverted chord. An inversion means generally when we say an inverted chord, we mean the root's not in the bass. Root inversion is an inversion, but like C chord, that's C. That's C root inversion. The first inversion is with the third E in the bass. So that would be first inversion. Second inversion will be with the G in the bass. And then you can keep going. If third inversion would be the seventh in the bass, okay, or major seventh. And then fourth inversion would be with the ninth in the bass, which would be something like D over C over D. I don't usually refer to them as fourth inversion chords. I've never heard that term used very much. But generally, I would start with the bass note. So if you hear a chord, you try to find out where that root is, and then you listen to it. Is it happy or sad? And then that can kind of help you determine what if it's a major or minor chord. If it sounds sad, then it's probably a minor chord. If it sounds happy, in major. Now, that's not always the case. So sometimes a major chord can sound sad if it changes the key. So I'm in the key of A, not in tune. Where is that tune? If I'm in the key of A and I suddenly go up to a C chord, it's still a major chord, but it may sound like a minor chord because it's a minor third up from A, and it could sound like a sad chord. So that could be deceptive. Just because it sounds sad, it doesn't mean it's. See, that's still major. Those are all majors. So it's hard to tell when sometimes it's major or minor. Just kind of have to try. Go, okay, I got the C, so let's try C major, play that, see if that works. Does that sound right? No. The other thing you can do, the more important thing to do is try to determine the key of the song. Because I've never done a study. I'm sure somebody has. But you probably, particularly in pop, you're looking at 90+% of the songs never leave the key center. Okay, so every note in the song is pretty much going to be in that key. The exception might be if the song is in a minor key, like if it's kind of got a Spanish flavor to it, it might be in a harmonic minor related key. Like if it was a song were in A minor, you might have an E7 chord in there. and then an F chord as well. So you would have that G sharp that wouldn't normally be in the key of A minor, but it would be in the key of A harmonic minor. Okay, but I digress. Let's go back to the original theory here. So if you can figure out the key, then it's real easy to figure out the 1, 4, and 5, and then the 1, 4, and 5 are all major chords, and the 2 and the 3 and the 6 are all minor chords. And those are, you're most likely going to be using in the song. You're going to be using the 1, the 4, the 5, the 6, the 2, and then the 3 in that order. That's going to be the most common. 1 is going to be in a key of C. The 1 chord is going to be the most common chord, and then in the key of C, the F chord is probably going to be the second most common chord. And then probably, again, if we were to do a survey of songs in the key of C, we'd probably find it. Okay. In fact, I found a website that did this. I'm trying to remember where it was. I may have actually put it up on my my Blogspot page. I'll check and see if I can find it. And then A minor would probably be the fourth most common chord, and then the 2 chord would be the fifth most common, and then the 6th most common chord would be this one. Now, all of those are in the key of C. So right there, if we look at 12 keys, don't worry, I don't have the coronavirus. We look at 12 major chords and 12 minor chords. That's 24 chords, okay? So there's your possible major, we're not talking about 7th chords, we're not talking about any of that stuff, but there's your possible, choices there, 24 chords, just between the major and minors. But if you can find out the key, you can eliminate 75% of those. So if you can get it down to 3 major and 3 minor chords, now you've really limited the potential. And so if the song goes, so you play, okay, well, let's figure out that first chord. Let's try C. Oh, that's it. Okay, good. I got the first chord. The second most common chord is F. No, that's not right. Third most common chord is G. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so you're going to go back to F maybe? No. What was the next most common chord? Okay. Or it could go back to C. Now, where songs are kind of a little confusing is, and this is very common to have a song in the key of we can all name songs E. We're ending on an E chord, so you should think that that's the song's in the key of E. And that's one of the tricks. What's the first chord of the song? That often is the key. What's the last chord of the song? That often is the key. And what chord does the song want to end on? That is often the key. But in this case, where you're going E, A, G, A, E, A, G, A, that is not, you think, oh, this is in the key of E. It is not in the key of E because there's no D chord in the key of E. It's a B chord. So technically you're in the key of A. So really what we're doing here, this is like a mixolydian progression. I mean, just rock bands in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, it's very, very common chord progression. Even, there it is. I don't want to get strikes against me for playing that. I actually had to take out a snippet in the last video, or 2 videos ago, I had to take out a snippet of a Bieber song because there was a takedown notice, but it was really cool. YouTube made it really easy for it just to snip out that one bit. To Make You Feel My Love. Yeah, that's probably, I don't know that one, but R.O.C.K. in the USA by John Mellencamp. What I Like About You. What I Like About You. Man, they sang so high back then. That's enough. You telling me to stop, or is that the name of a song? Let's see. Is changing the key after the bridge still used in pop music? Occasionally. Man in the Mirror. But that's not recent. And I do think in pop music you're going to see a lot. I get a lot more requests. I see back, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I got more requests for things that could be turned into hooks, little loops, whatever, things like that they could loop. But now I'm getting a lot more requests. Okay, go play longer, give us more of an A B feel, different feels, things like that. So, um, do I know "Unconditional" by Justin Cody? I don't. Is that one of the songs on the list? Because I don't. That was one of the 13. There were 13 songs on that record, right? If I remember correctly. Um, yeah, he may not have written it. Andrew Watt was involved in that record, and so was Josh Goodwin, and it was basically me, Andrew, Josh, um, Dan Cantor, of course, primarily, and then Justin Cody. Those were the main people involved in that. And I wish it came out because I had 5 songs on that record. But it's cool because 3 of those songs were still in the running on this current record. So I think if they'd gone a different direction, they might have made it. So, Unconditional. No, I don't know how to. It's probably Dan playing that. Could you explain to me from a violin player's perspective? Oh, theory to me from a violin. Well, I can't. I don't know what a violinist's perspective is. However, oh dang it! You guys are going to make me leave this room. I'm leaving the room now, so don't tune out. Stay right there. Stay right there. Okay. So this is tuned like a violin. One of the things I love about mandolin it's like the scales are 4 notes per string. And pentatonic sound great. I love playing. Triads are so easy on mandolin. It's like a pentatonic lick. Triads are so hard on guitar. You know, those sweep picking guys, the guys that kill that sweep picking stuff. They're doing triads oftentimes. And on mandolin, like this is an A, C sharp. Then there's the E there, and there's the A. Well, Kermit, the honest, yeah, I like doing everything, but I do like working on the Bieber stuff because I do know that it's gonna get heard. Or, well, not always, unfortunately. But one of the things that I like working in LA is I get to work with, like, even I was telling you about the drummer from our church that's going to be online tonight. Here's the live stream tonight at 6:00 our time. If you want to watch, we're doing our services live for the time being, just online, of course, because everybody's being told not to gather in groups. So when we have it's a big church. The room it's so weird. It's going to be weird doing the service. It'll feel like rehearsal. So trying to make it not feel like rehearsal will be interesting. But I love being in LA because I get to work with the best musicians in the world. The drummer is first class. The bass player and the bass player and keyboard player in our church, they are married, and their daughter is Judith Hill, who's a great singer. She sang with Michael Jackson, speaking of Man in the Mirror. She was the last person in the world to sing and dance with him before he died. Let's see. And then and she also sang with Prince, or did her last record, or second to last record was produced by Prince. And so she's really, if you like funk, she's great. And Pee Wee Meach go tour the world with her. Or right now they're not; they had to cancel their tour. But they will be going back out. They'll probably be out this summer. We'll see. We'll see how this whole thing goes, and I'm sure things will be getting back to normal. It's going to be an interesting summer when people start coming out of their houses and out of their caves and out of their basements and stuff like that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be like, oh yeah, that's what it's like to hang with people. I think I'm going to go back inside now. I've never written for Taylor Swift, but I did. Didn't I tell you the story about getting called to play? It was when I met Justin. Was the very first time I met Justin. I was in there to replace Taylor Swift's guitar playing. So years ago, they had Justin bring back Punk'd, the TV show for MTV called Punk'd, where they, do a prank on somebody. And they punked Taylor Swift. And you can find it on YouTube. If you go like YouTube, Justin Bieber punks Taylor Swift, you should be able to, I'm sure it's uploaded. And it's pretty funny. And the premise was, hey, come to my Malibu house, where he didn't live in Malibu, but they rented a house for the occasion. Come to my Malibu house and let's write a song together. And she shows up, and he and his buddies are out on the deck shooting bottle rockets out into the Pacific. And they're pushing a button on a thing, and they're shooting, and then under the deck, these bottle rockets take off. And Justin's like, hey, do it, Taylor. And she's like, no, I don't want to do it. And she goes, no, you do it. And they're like, oh, look. And they push the button, and look, it's fun, and the rocket. She finally agrees to do, this is before the Mistletoe record. And this was just after the My World's acoustic record, which I worked on. And then, so she agrees, she pushes the button and a giant rocket takes off, right? And she's like freaking out, and it hits this boat in the middle of the Pacific, and the boat catches on fire, and it's a wedding party, and the groom and the bride and the pastor all jump off the boat, and they swim to shore, and they're like, what? Who did that? What's going on? I can't, what's that? What's the, and she starts crying. She's afraid the police are going to call and arrest her and all this. It's hey, Montana. And it's like, it's crazy. It's like, oh my gosh. They really punked her good. Well, ultimately, after Taylor stopped crying, she and Justin did write a song, and it was called, well, I don't know, I should say or not. See if you can find it. See, you can't find the song. I guarantee that's not out there. That one's not been leaked. And Justin was 16, maybe 17. He was still, and he always looked young. So he looked like he was 15, but he may have been 17 at the time, 16, 17. And the pictures of me, the first pictures you see of me with Justin are from that session. And I came in and I replaced Taylor's guitars, kind of came up with a better hook vibe for the guitar. It was the same 3 chords over and over again for the verse, the bridge, and the chorus. So I gave it a different feel, and then I wrote a new bridge. And so I went to bed that night thinking I'd just co-written a song with Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift. And I was like, oh my gosh. My wife and I were like, can you believe this? And then they called me back the next day and said, hey, come in again. We want you to put it back the way it was. I'm like, oh, dang it. So my credit got taken off. He was 17. Okay. So this. And so I replayed the guitars, and then they asked me to put a guitar solo on it. And that's when Justin showed up, right when I was starting to work on the guitar solo. And so between Kook was his vocal producer at the time, and my friend, that's how I got connected. Me and Justin, the 3 of us wrote a guitar solo that was 8 or 16 bars long, which is kind of unusual. And I heard their song, like, I don't know, probably 7 years ago again, just because I was with a friend that had a copy of it. And I said, hey, play it. I forget what it goes like. And I went, it's a really good track. I mean, Taylor probably wrote it, and she's got chops. She's got writing chops. So it was pretty cool to be part of that. I didn't meet Taylor. She wasn't involved at all at that point. And they actually did the recording at that house. Like I think the vocals and her acoustic guitar were done at that house because they set up a studio in the house. In fact, that's the first time you see Josh is in that bit. And there's a little bit. So see if you can find it. Tell us the name. Well, it was called Cannonballs, but I don't know if that's out there or not. So if that's what I thought it was called. I'm not sure if that's really what it's called. But if you start yelling at them to release Cannonballs, they'll just say nope. Because that ain't gonna happen. I don't think Taylor Taylor's too anxious to tour with Justin and go on shows and sing their song. Although it probably would be a smash. She's a great writer. So let's see. I remember there was a married couple. What was that? It always devolves into Justin Bieber questions. But mandolin is cool because, like I said, it's tuned in fifths. Now I'm going to give you a tip here. It's this. If you look at the strings, it's G, D, A, E. Okay, it's basically guitar upside down if you start on the bottom string. So you know how a G string is, or G chord is like this, right? If you were to play a G chord, if I had two more strings, it'd be like this. Well, just imagine that upside down. So it's this. This is a G chord. Okay, D is this. But if you imagine the D chord and you bring your thumb around to get the F sharp, then that explains what this is. Okay, and then C is this. Okay, so imagine with a E string open. See, C with the E string open would kind of look like this. You'd have this, and then the first finger down here. So it's the bottom four strings of a guitar upside down. So some of the chords translate, and then it also helps with the E string. This is an E string. So if I'm stuck, I got to do some reading, and it's I'm like I got to go fast or whatever. If I can just find the notes on it. And also the other thing I found when I play this instrument, a lot of times I get a lot of people coming up to me afterwards if it's live saying, "Oh man, I love that instrument. What is that?" They just love the mandolin. Because it's so high. I mean, this note here is the guitar at the 12th fret. So this would be the guitar at the 24th fret. And then we look at how much I got left. If it doesn't buzz. So there's D. So I got C sharp. Is that right? C sharp. Yep. C sharp. So my high note on that is C sharp. So that's pretty similar to a violin. It's a fun instrument to play. I wish I had a better one. And if you're wondering why I have this here, is I usually have it here too, but I took it out. But it's to cut back on the sympathetic vibrations. So when I do, there's no ringing. It just stops. And that's for recording and noise gates and things like that. Yeah, Billy, she's great. Billy is amazing. Phineas is an amazing producer. I have not worked with them yet. I haven't met them. When I lived in Pasadena for 35 years, literally just down the street from them. They're in Highland Park, which is just over the hill. And they even performed at the Hi-Hat. I saw my son Alex perform at the Hi-Hat, which is it's literally like a biker bar on York. I think it's on York Boulevard in Highland Park. So it's pretty cool. I mean, she went from performing there to performing in freaking arenas. The other thing too is we were talking. Okay, yeah, you go to sleep, young man. Go to sleep. Like I said, I love. Ah. I love how fast you can do triads on mandolin. That's just really, really fun. Let's see. Something I thought of when I was doing those. I can't really improvise very well on mandolin. It's not. It's still too much in the wrong side of the brain to be just. Tom's pretty good on YouTube. Tom who? Me? I hope so. I aim to be. I'm just trying to share this stuff. Yeah, I'm making a mess in here. All my tools are out. So what guitar's plugged in? This one's plugged in. So my son hit me to. I'll load this patch. So I don't know if you use DAW, which stands for Digital Audio Workstation. I use Logic. Let's see. Okay, so I can get this. I use Logic, and I got Amplitude. My son recommended Amplitude. I think there was a mistake. I ordered complete Amplitude and I didn't get everything, so it's a little bit. But I kind of like it. I don't use the amp simulator in Logic anymore. I used to, but I use mostly Guitar Rig, which is Native Instruments, and let's see, I got a little bit of my coffee. I use Guitar Rig mostly. I've got so many great sounds I've been saving through the years on Guitar Rig, so that's really fun. It's fun to program, and it's very thorough. Really, really good software. So I just got Amplitude because my son swears by it. And he's much more of a purist than I am. He's really into amps. He has custom amps made for him and stuff. And usually I can tell on the top end, even though my hearing's kind of gone bad on the top end, it's usually the top end that I can tell if it's a in the box kind of if it's a simulated amp simulation versus a real amp. But it's getting harder and harder. And it's pretty reactive. This is my latest cheap guitar acquisition. I love the color, and that's just the white on cream is such a good look. I may have to get a Strat like this, like a real for live, and I may have to get a Strat that has a maple or a rosewood fingerboard because my main Strat is my maple one. In fact, if you tune into church tonight, at least to watch the worship service, you may see me. I mean, we have a million cameramen, and we have cameramen that get right in your face. Part of the reason I really like playing at the church because it really does kind of deal with those kind of nerves of being filmed and on the big giant screen and things like that. I'm pretty fearless when it comes to that stuff. But a lot of times they'll zoom in on my hands, but not so much my face because they want people to know how old the guitar player is. Old fart. Yeah, it's a total Hendrix look. So great. And I got 2 of these from the bass player in my church. He sold me 2 of his Squires for $150. So $75, boy, that's right in my price point right there, man. And the other one, I haven't. It's so there. I haven't messed with it at all. It's the first of these that I've gotten that's SSH or HSS. Which is it? It's a humbucker, so HSS or is it SSH? I forget. Yes, I've seen the guitar made out of coloring pencils. Yeah, it's kind of irrelevant for the most part. I mean, some people would swear by the quality of the wood or whatever. I guarantee this is plywood. It's just plywood, probably. It may be solid. I don't know. The neck is solid. Neck looks like maple. It's crafted in China, it says. So it's not sick, though. So that's good. But that's a real twangy kind of almost like a kind of a, like a... kind of almost I like it. It's a rockabilly sound. That's another style of music I wish I could play with any ability. Rockabilly players kind of defy logic because they play fast and hard. When you back in the day when you're studying, when I was studying how I want to be the fastest guitar player in the world, which is not going to happen. You really try to minimize movement You'd be economy of movement was key. You know, it's just like just barely touch the string, barely move your hand. You know, keep your hand as close to the fretboard. The more you minimize movement, the faster you can recover and get to that next note, right? Well, flamenco players are a perfect example of they totally ignore that and they still play wickedly fast. And also bluegrass players bluegrass players do tend to kind of tighten up their playing. I notice bluegrass players, they play insanely fast, but they don't flail too much. But flamenco players are flailing, and so do rockabilly players. They tend to be playing really hard and flamboyantly because they're kind of putting on a show here, and it defies logic because that's not how you. But they're fast. I'm like, stop it. Flamenco is one of those examples too, where in classical guitar you use a rest stroke for volume. A rest stroke is when you pluck the string and then you rest on the next string. Okay, but for speed you use through strokes, which means you pluck and you go through, so you're not hitting anything, so you can recover faster. Rest strokes are harder to recover from; they're slower. But flamenco players almost always play with rest strokes, which is crazy because it's harder to recover from, but they're fast. I'm just like, oh. So, I hate to be like, absolute, this is how you play fast. I did a video increasing your speed on my YouTube channel. I think 10 tips for increasing your speed, and you can check that one out. Yeah, the tremolo, or you're talking about the right-hand tremolo. Yeah, like one of my friends was just asking me about that. And like a flamenco one, so many things in flamenco are in groupings of 6 and groupings of 5 as well. So that raschiato I'm doing is it's really hard. And I can only do it a few times in a row, maybe 4 or 5 times in a row, and then I just get tied up and fingered. So I'm not a flamenco guitarist. But like for TV, film, things like that, when there's motorcycles chasing and gunshots and all that stuff going on, I can hide behind all that. Yeah, then I'm fine for that. But somebody called me to do a flamenco record, I would never do it. But the tremolo thing, there's one pattern that I really like. So the chord I'm playing, I showed this earlier, is basically an E major chord, triad. It's on the 4th string, 2nd fret, then 4th fret, open, 4th fret. So I got 2 beats. It's like you're tuning. And what I'm doing is the thumb is just going and slide it up a fret. You get F with a B in it. It's beautiful, right? And on top, after I pluck the thumb, I do index, 3rd, 2nd, index. So that's 4 notes. But if you add the thumb in, that's 5. So it's and it should be even. It shouldn't be that. That would be a triplet 16ths with a triplet 8th note. You'd be no, it should be. So it's hard, almost hard without doing the other notes. Later, Vimo. Oh, thanks, Diane. It's HSS, yeah. So you count from the bridge to the neck. I'll forget that 100 times. I guarantee you, I'm going to forget that. But B comes before N, so bridge, neck, that makes sense. So that's actually groupings of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But see, I'm not doing a rest stroke there. And a flamenco player would not use a rest stroke in that situation. When they do and there was an exercise. Let's see, what was it? What was it? Go down, you add a note to the scale every time you go down. every time I'm going down, I'm adding a note. The idea is to start out with a small snippet of the scale and just keep adding notes to it. I mean, then once you get down to the bottom, then you start taking notes off the top. So, like, for example, I'm down, and I go all the way to the top again, all the way to the bottom again, and then I take out a note at the top. Now I'm going to get rid of the F. One of the things that I found is just do a snippet, just do a little piece of a scale, and find out the most efficient way to. And it's a little easier to go fast if you're closer to the bridge. Here, the strings get really squishy, so the recovery time is slower. If you get up here, the recovery time is much faster. Same thing's true with picking. It's like you're playing spaghetti noodles up here. How about that? So it's a little easier when you're further down to play fast, and so that's true also when you're finger picking. But yeah, I think I may, contrary to my biggest video, which is the seven tips for older beginners. You know, I wonder if my ability to increase speed is behind me. I would love to be able to play a little faster. I've gotten some things fast. Like I said, the Raschiato. I have a couple that I go to for just to sell it that are technically Raschiatos, but there are so many different Raschiatos. Raschiatos are when that's a Raschiato. So the one I'm doing, the 5, dang, it's like. That's another grouping of 5. One is pinky. It's really, really hard. And so for me, it was pinky, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, and then come back. Bring them all back, but hit with your 1st. So you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, and keep them even. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just. It hurts so bad right there. Like, wow, I want to cry. It's just like, gosh, you know, it's just flamenco is all up here and classical is here. And I don't really have as much problem with the classical. You know, earlier I was doing the Villalobos pattern, which is a great pattern. I should do a video on that, although there are videos on it already out there. It's a 16-note pattern, though. Hey, Fishers, Indiana. You know I'm from Indianapolis, right? I've been to Fishers. I used to teach at Carmel at Phelan's Guitar Store in Carmel, Indiana. Do you know Phelan's, Ira? You remember that store? I taught there for about 3.5 years before I moved to California. It was pretty much helped me get my seed money to get started. So yeah, you can see this pattern is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16-note pattern. And it's a Villalobos piece, Etude number 1, I think. And there's a moment where he writes this diminished chord. He was a cellist, but he played guitar pretty good too. And he does this. It's really cool. You can just do this. You could do this with any pattern. You could just go up and down. But it's a diminished chord. So I'm open. The outside strings, the E strings are open, and so it's open, and then 11, 12, 10, 12, open. Right? So it does this pattern that I'm doing, the Villalobos pattern, twice, and then just move the chord down. And every time, the chord has a different flavor against those E strings. All I'm doing is moving that diminished chord down. the outside strings are open. Back in. Does that? What is it? I can't remember the whole. Anyway, so yeah, this is my flamenco guitar, and you can see, like, here's my classical. And if you can tell, it's a slightly narrower. Like I said, it's for that projection, that volume. And this is Brazilian rosewood, which is gorgeous wood. You can see there. And then this is, I can't think of the type of wood on this, but it's pretty typical for a flamenco guitar to have. This is a very hard wood, so it has great projection, immediate projection. Is the sound hole? I wonder if the sound hole on a nylon, on a flamenco, is slightly larger. I'm not sure. It looks the same, but it would make sense if it were slightly larger. And then on a flamenco guitar too, you have a pick guard because you do golpes. You know. I'm not trying to think of. I can't think of a pattern with a golpe in it. But golpe is when you tap your nails or nail. Usually, I just use my ring finger. I got a big, good, long, hard nail on my ring finger, so I hit it there, and that gives you a golpe. Because it's very percussive. Again, flamenco guitar is largely an accompaniment. So it's largely for accompanying dancers with metal, taps, shoes, basically. And also singers that sing very loud. We've got too many things out right now. Somebody said, I see 10 guitars. There are actually 24 guitars out right now in this room. Bar. But that is Amplitude. That's a software called Amplitude on that I've got in Logic. It's pretty good, but one of the things I don't like about it is it's like to have all the pedals and things, like you have to buy everything individually. When I got Guitar Rig, it just came with everything. So I hate to have to buy, I just want to buy something once, and if the price for everything is $500, tell me so I can decide whether I want to spend that or not. But it was weird because I thought I paid for everything and it wasn't everything. So, yes, there's definitely a difference between writing for in a major key and a minor key. In fact, I'm working with a new artist, not a new artist, but an artist that's new for me to work with. I can't say who it is at this point. But she can do this kind of Spanish flavored songs. And so I'm trying to come up with some songs with minor. And but if you're an A minor, you're going to want an E7 in there. So, you can think of A minor, you got A minor, G, E. Just start moving those around and see what you can come up with. Come up with something surprising. And then you try to come up with a B section that could maybe go to the just wrote a song together. Have you ever heard Bekhali? I'm assuming that's spelled right because it didn't correct into some intro. It's good. No, I haven't. Is it a song or is it a band? Hey, I still have coffee left, just a little bit. All right. And then I had a new video. It's a song. Okay, I'll check it out. Let me copy and paste that. Can I copy and paste this? I can. Okay, so I'll save this for later. Oh, I see. Oh, his intro to soloing thing. Oh, he's a guitar. Cool. Yeah, I'll check that out. Always like watching other YouTubers and recommending them in particular. I mean, I love doing the YouTube thing, and so right now I'm kind of setting it up so I have a video coming out every week. My viewership is down a little bit. Mainly, probably 60% of my views overall on my channel come from one video, and that's the 7 tips for older beginners, which is probably how you arrived here, or many of you. It's one of those suggested videos that YouTube puts out there, but once they stop suggesting that, my revenue is just going to fall way down on YouTube. Yeah, Diane, thank you so much. And because it's really hard to get a video, to have a video. In fact, I was talking to my friend Sean Tubbs, who's a great guitar player and does pretty fun videos. And he's only got like 23,000 subscribers. He just doesn't get many views. And Sean, he said, yeah, that title has the trifecta. It's got a number in it, 7. It says the word tips, and it has the word beginners in it. And he said that right there is just something that generates in the algorithm. So that's why when I did the soloing, the slide tips, I did, what was it, 10 tips for slide beginners. I didn't see the same kind of numbers. But to be fair, the 7 tips for older beginners didn't take off at first. So if I look at the algorithm or the views, the first month or so, it was pretty flat. It was just a few, and it was a suggested video. Someone said, "Hey, could you do this?" And then, hey, well, I'm about to sign out, so I'll try to hang on for you a little bit longer. And so that one just took off. And so, like I said, 60% of my views, consequently 60% of the income that I've made from YouTube is primarily from that one video. And once that video gets a little bit older, it's already I've noticed it's starting to taper off. That will affect majorly my view count and the revenue. So that might make it a little tougher. Now, because of the revenue, I can actually justify spending time every month doing, but I still love doing it. I was doing it long before I was making money on it. So yeah, hit the bell so you notification if there's a new video. That's right. If you do that, and I notice when I post a video, my view count goes up for the first hour because everybody has the bell turned, or a lot of people have the bell turned on, and so those are all the bell people. That's what I say. So do another one. Oh, I'm going to do a lot of videos. Oh, older beginners. There's several older beginner. There's the tips from older beginners, because I even said in that first video, I said, give me your tips down below, and then I'll do another video. And then I've done tips that one's done pretty well. Tips for people with smaller hands. The videos also that do really well are the open tuning ones. Anything I do in DADGAD, I should do another DADGAD video. But there's so many great experts on it. I hate to pretend to be an expert. I hope you never think I'm pretending to be an expert on anything. I make a living playing guitar, which is very, very rare. It's a big blessing, and I'm very amazed to do it. But I'm not like, I know how to get the job done. Let's put it that way. So, but I also love teaching, and I taught for 35 years privately. From the age of 15 to the age of 50, I taught individual lessons, and I stopped at 50 to concentrate on doing things that were more generating what's called passive income, mailbox money, money while you sleep. So I write a lot of music for TV. I do sessions and things like that. A lot of times when I'm in a movie, if I do a TV show or in a movie, I did a video on this called Sidelining. I make money every year from all that. Every time they show that movie, I make a penny or two or five or whatever. So it all adds up. And that's kind of what I was concentrating on, because I found when I was teaching private lessons, a couple things would happen. Either I just completely forget that I had a student come in at 2 o'clock, or I'd be in the middle of writing something and then a student would show up and it would like take me out of that headspace. And so that was very distracting. So right now, if I teach privately, it's almost only coaching. And by coaching, I mean actors. So I've coached actors how to pretend to look like they can play. And every single actor I've ever coached has actually gotten good enough that they could play the thing they were being asked to pretend to play. So that's been really cool. The coolest one was, one of the coolest ones was working with Gethin Anthony, who is an actor. He was in the first season of Game of Thrones, and he was playing on a TV show called Aquarius. He was playing Charles Manson. So he had to play a guitar in this episode, and it was just an E chord, so it wasn't hard. The hard part was the strumming. He didn't really have a right. He could play an E chord, no problem. Anybody can, but he couldn't do the strumming, pattern or whatever it was. He was very stiff and everything. So I met with him for like a couple hours in his trailer, and he was in costume and makeup. And the scene was he's singing. He's Charles Manson, and he's singing to like someone I think he's going to kill or get killed. I don't know. He's singing to a cop or something. And they come to the compound, and he starts singing a song at him. And remember, I don't know if you know anything about Charles Manson's history, but he actually came to California to be an artist. And he started hanging out with one of the Beach Boys, and that was the house that they went into, and I think Tate was killed in. That was the manager of the Beach Boys' house, but he wasn't there or something. It's a very weird, all the stuff that went down is just crazy. But anyway, Gethin, it's Gethin, Gethin Anthony. He's a great actor. Studied at the Royal Academy, I think. The Royal Academy or I can't remember which academy but he's studying at the Royal Academy. And he started to get it down, and he gets in character. And I'm in the trailer, and I'm sitting there, and at first I'm jamming along with him so he can watch my right hand. And then I stop so he can be on his own. And he starts singing the song, and he's singing it to me. And he literally made the hair on the back of my head stand up. He just totally stayed up. He freaked me out because it was like, oh my God, you look just like Charles Manson. It was like really weird to be in a little trailer with Charles Manson singing a song, looking like he's going to kill you. That was like, okay, that is this business. And that's the crazy thing. So so when I do private lessons, I do a bit of that. I just got contacted by Disney to do one for probably a kid or something, but that didn't happen. I don't know if they've canceled filming. A lot of that's going on right now. Or if they just found a cheaper teacher somewhere, or one that was more convenient or something. I don't know. So I'd still do private lessons a little bit, but not very often. And so that's why I like doing the YouTube thing. I'm kind of getting all that stuff out of there. And that's why I want to do my lesson on the modes. And the thing is that I really have it down as like this almost perfect 1 hour lesson, but I hate to post a 1 hour video. But I also hate to break it up because the way I teach it, it almost requires that you flow from one way of thinking about the modes to the next way, to the next way, to the next way. I've kind of got this cool thing that I do. And so I really want to teach it the way I've always taught it, but I don't know if anybody would sit. I mean, because my average video is 10 minutes long and my average viewership is like 4 minutes. Because unlike you live stream people, they get bored with me after a couple minutes. So those 4 minutes, that tells me for everyone that's watching 8, there's someone who's watching 1, or everyone who's watching 7 minutes if somebody's watching 1. So I'm losing half my audience at some point, and now I'm going to lose you. So no, but so I haven't decided how I'm going to teach that lesson yet. But I do think modes are a really great thing. My son just finally got into modes. I tried to teach him to him when he was in high school and stuff, and he just was like, eh. And then now he's got a piano, and so now he's really getting into modes. It's great for writing. Never. So like if I'm in A, it's great for like A Lydian, such a beautiful. Lydian, all the different modes have their own flavor, and if you really want to be like dark, you can do Phrygian. It gets really fun when you start to do things on strings, because I do a lot of string arrangements and things like that. And if I'm writing something from scratch, and if it's for like reality show or something like that, and they want something kind of dark and heavy metal or whatever, then I might go with kind of a Phrygian mode rather than a pure minor mode, because you get that flat second. It just sounds fun. And then when you start putting strings in there, you can really start to have fun with strings. It's a blast. I mean, I love writing, and I love playing with the modes. So it really different comes into I try to not rush through. It's tough. On the live stream, I'm just like, I'm riffing here. I don't have a plan at all. I'm just figured you're all stuck in your house, so let's hang out together. I've already gone 2 hours. I had one that was 3.5 hours. I need to get ready though. I need to go to church. We're doing a service today we're just doing live stream today at 6:00 our time. So if you want to tune in, we'll do 3 songs up front. We normally do 5 songs up front with communion in there, but we're just going to there's not going to be anybody in the room, and our room seats 3,500, and we usually fill it out 3 times every weekend, 1 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. But obviously we shut it down this week because and that was before the edict came down. We actually said, no, we're just going to go live stream only. And we have it set up because we have it on our website, and then you can also watch it on Facebook Live, and you can watch it on YouTube now. We have that set up live. So there's 3 different ways you can watch the service. And so we'll see, but we're only playing 1 service, and then they're going to re-air it on Sunday for those other 2. So that's kind of nice. It's going to be the first Sunday in a long time I haven't had to wake up at 6:00. So I'm going to dig that. I'm really afraid I'm going to get used to it. And part of the reason I play at church because I really like the team. The team's great. I love being part of it and everything, but also it gets me out in front of people live, helps me make sure that I don't get, if I were only playing out, a couple times a month, I might get nervous every time I play out. But now it's also, hey, if you're in a band, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be in a band. You don't have to do anything. I'm going to give you a big tip right now. If you're a songwriter, singer-songwriter, we can't play out right now. This is an awful time for us. And so one of the things that I'm going to do, Kelly Jekyll and I have done one, and we actually did really well. So Kelly Jekyll, you can look her up. Kelly Jekyll and I write music together. Oops. Kelly. She was one of the girls in Pitch Perfect. So, the main group in Pitch Perfect, there's 3 movies. She's in the main group, but she doesn't ever have lines or anything. But she also did most of the singing for all the different groups. Her voice is on all of that stuff. She's a great singer, studied at USC. She and I have been writing songs now for 4 years, I think. And we did a live stream on something called StageIt.com. Check it out, StageIt.com. Basically, they take a pretty big percentage, and you promote it. It only airs once. It's not like a live stream. Well, I could delete this if I wanted to, but I'll leave this up there. But StageIt is great because it's you can schedule this. Okay, we're going to do a live stream at 5:00 on Sunday afternoon, and everyone, all her fans, because she's got a couple 100,000 followers on Instagram, I think. I'll promote it. She'll promote it. And you get paid, and people give you tips, it's like, oh, here's $5 or whatever. And we did a half-hour show. I think you can have longer than a half hour, but I think they kind of encourage it to be 30 minutes, which is fine for us. And we did like 6 songs. I literally played a different guitar on every song just because with different tunings and classical. And then I played my Irish bouzouki on a song. We made $500 in half an hour, which was pretty good. Now they took 37%. If we actually made like 497, we're just below 500. If we got the 500, then at that point they only take like 33%, and then they get the 1,000, they only take 25%. It's one of those kind of things. It's like a regressive tax, if I'm using the term correctly. So check it out if you've got a band. It works great for you. Literally, people are expecting you to do this from your living room. You can do it with your eye. We did it with her laptop. We just did it right from her laptop using the laptop camera. It was fine. It's pretty much like this. And then you can use a better camera. But of course, a better camera is going to be probably require a higher bandwidth for good, clear streaming. So probably do the same thing. So I'll probably make a, if you haven't followed me if you haven't liked my page on Facebook, you can do that. And I'll probably put a notification there. But if you've got a band and you could do like an acoustic unplugged thing, promote it, do a stage it show, and you could make some money. It's really hard right now because you can't get out there and gig. And so this is a great way to kind of keep at it. And you can build your fan base too. So that we're going to do one probably in the next 2 weeks, and I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted. I'll try to post also on my community YouTube channel so you can see that. But I really feel like, those kind of things are great. And so Stage It, like I said, they take a percentage, but one of the things they don't do is they don't archive it. So you can't rewatch it. So it's like you watch it live then, and people are commenting. Like I'm seeing comments right now on the side of my screen from you guys. People comment, and you see people, the tips and things like that. No one's giving me any tips. No one's giving me a penny. That's all right. You don't need to give me anything. I make enough from YouTube to justify doing the work I do. So, yeah. If you don't go to Facebook at all, you wouldn't see that promotion. But I might promote it. I will probably also promote it on my Instagram, on the stories. So if you go to Instagram stories and you follow me, The Straley is my Instagram handle. Tom Straley was taken, and so was T Straley. So I had to go with The Straley. If you follow me there, you will probably, I'll definitely try to put a post up there that I'm going to be going live with Kelly. So we're gonna do a show, and then, like I said, check out stageit.com and see if it's right for your band, or if you're a songwriter, singer-songwriter. It's kind of a cool way to generate some revenue if you've got followers. Like I said, we made $500 in 30 minutes. And a couple people gave big chunks. They're fans of hers, and they just wanted to help her out or whatever, and that was great. And we didn't even split that money. We just put it towards the next record, so it wasn't even one of those things. It was kind of like, let's just use the money for the next thing. But we're going to try to get even more people. We'll probably promote it even more, and try to get more people to watch and donate. And you can buy tickets. We made the tickets for free, but you can sell tickets too. So you can do $3 or $5 or $1 or whatever. I think sometimes if there's a buy-in, if people even pay $1, they're more likely to watch it than if it's a free ticket. But I think with the ticket, when they get the ticket, it comes with reminders. So they may get an email notification or text notification or something like that, that the concert's about to start. And I think we got it to work pretty good for the first time. It was pretty good. I wouldn't mind having a third person to help kind of run the technology part of it, because we were doing that ourselves. Maybe she'll bring her boyfriend and he can help us out. That would be actually a good idea. And that way, if we got an extra camera, it might look better. We can have 2 cameras, but we just did it from my living room. You don't need that. You can do it from anywhere you have an internet connection. So it's almost preferred to do it. You don't want to do it in a big stage because it's probably not going to sound that good. It was just the 2 of us, me playing guitar and her singing. And I think the balance was, nobody complained. They could hear her. So it was cool. So I would totally check it out, because we got to do something. I'll tell you one thing too. We all know this Pentatonic Tele. It's kind of the sad blues pentatonic scale in some ways. B.B. King would take that 7th and go down to the 6th. So he would. That's B.B. King. He'd still hit that flat 3rd, but he wouldn't go. He'd go. So you can take that 7th degree. Take that 7th down to the 6th, and you're going to get what you might call a happy blues. Hey, David. Sorry.
you're going to have to go back and watch this in retrospect. Now, I don't think you can go back now. You have to, when I hit end, which I'm going to do in a minute, when I hit end, then it'll archive it, and then later you can go back and watch it. So bookmark it, or just remember to come back. But David, do you have any questions? Glad you were mixing. You're working. Yeah, see, those of us that work at home anyway, it's not really affecting me too much. I've been busy because I work for so many film composers and gaming composers. And then I'm writing music for TV, and all that stuff's still happening. In fact, people are sitting home watching. It's actually really good for this business, I think. So I've been pretty busy. And the live thing is, people are going to be making records like crazy right now just because they can't do live shows. But yeah, I almost 95% of my session work is from home now. It's just convenient for me because I have all my instruments here. I mean, if I go to a session, okay. So what do you do with your day job? If you don't mind me asking. I really, the cool thing is, and I didn't really want to talk about the virus or this, but our situation, the world situation, but in particular here in the US, okay, so parts store. See, so yeah, that's exact. Dan, I was saying the same thing. We're going to have a baby boom in America. They're going to have a lot of Christmas babies, right? All those babies are going to be bummed because their birthdays are going to be right around Christmas. Like, dang it. All our friends that had Christmas birthdays, they were like, dang it. I got to wait 12 months for gifts. But so many of the jobs that are really important, because my job is not important. I'm sorry. I know that. I totally felt that after 9/11. For the first week, it was really hard to do any work because I was like, I'm not a fireman. I'm not a policeman. I'm not a soldier. I'm not doing anything, but ultimately you get over that. The thing is, so many of the jobs like truck driver jobs that we depend on, moving stuff around, the farmers, so many of those jobs are very, very solitary jobs that they do by themselves. They're not exposed to, as much as some of us would be in the public, like me, working with a group of people or playing a church or whatever in a group. So yeah, exactly. Social distancing for a lot of professions are the ones that we're all depending on to keep food supplies going. Even restaurants, it's great because the great thing about restaurants, you can get things to go, or you can get Uber Eats or, Postmates or whatever and have it delivered. If you can't leave, if you get a diagnosis and you can't leave the house, we've got this society, this gig society that's set up in such a manner that allows, it allows us to get what we need. Grocery stores are, moving some of their staff over into online fulfillment. And I know the grocery stores are decimated, especially with toilet paper. It's funny because 3 weeks ago, I told my wife, I said, you might want to get a big thing of toilet paper because I think there's going to be a run on it. And sure enough, she bought one and she goes, I can't believe you knew this was going to happen. I said, yeah, I just, you can never underestimate the stupidity of some. And so I hoarded guitar strings, so I'm good right now. But yeah, a lot of manufacturing jobs are very solitary. So a lot of jobs, it's mostly machines doing the work. There's, people do working as technicians. They're standing there. So many jobs can be done without great exposure to the public, and consequently they probably won't get sick, and consequently they can keep doing their job. Farmers, I think about, which are very important right now, and truck drivers, and parts store countermen. I mean, seriously, getting, the things you're going to have to still do. One thing I would do is I would fill up my tank of gas, mainly not because of like some radical like prepper fear, but because oil prices are lower than they've been in years. And so you might as well fill up now. So that's one thing I've done. The other thing, I have a friend that's a doctor, and I texted him yesterday to say, how are you doing? Are you like exhausted? And he's an ER doctor. And he said, yeah, he said, if you feel sick, the big thing, unless you can't, there is no cure. So there's really nothing they can do at a hospital. So, try not to populate the hospital waiting rooms, especially if you're younger. But basically he said, you can basically treat it. You're going to have a fever, most likely. Treat it with, Tylenol or Advil or whatever your favorite, fever reducer is. And unless you're having a horrible time breathing, don't go to a hospital or ER, because you're only going to be more exposed to other stuff. Or if you do have it, and they are going to they're setting up testing. The Italian thing, there is so much. Italy, so many things. For one thing, it's the oldest population in Europe, but it's the second oldest in the world after Japan. At one point, I heard that the average age of the dying from coronavirus was 81. So that's really, really old. There's one website that I follow. I think it's called worldometer.info. And at this point, I don't think anyone under 10 has yet to die from it. It's 0.02% for anyone under 39. So unlike other viruses, I think the swine flu really hit kids harder, and older people didn't hit very hard. So it's very different. Older people or people with issues, lung issues, are going to get hit hard. But Italy, they also have a higher rate of smoking. Men are more likely to die from coronavirus because men are also more likely to be smokers. In China, 52% of the population smokes, or of the men smoke, is my understanding. So smoking is a big contributing factor. In the US, I've heard numbers as low as 14%. I think in California, it's like 14% or less of the population actually smokes. So smoking is an issue. So if you're a smoker now, you might want to take this time to quit. It'd be a good thing. There's some great info out there. I think at some point they're going to close schools. I mean, they close schools here. My wife is a school teacher. She's a substitute teacher, so she's not getting paid. So when she's off, she won't get paid. But it's 2 weeks. The first week was off. The next week was spring break anyway. And I think the next week she'd taken 2 days off because my daughter's in town. So she's only going to lose 3 days work. But she may do some nannying and stuff like that, because people are going to need someone to stay with their kids while they're at work if they have to work. So she's made herself available for that. The other thing, one of the things that could have heavily spread the disease, especially among the elderly, is the Catholic Church with the communion thing, right? When in our church, we do communion. You get a little cup and you take the bread, and you take the bread, and even the last weekend when we had services, we give you 2 cups, and then the bottom of the first cup was the bread and the top cup was the juice. And then you would take that, so you wouldn't even have to touch the plate of communion wafers. But that was another reason, because in Italy, very few people go to church anymore, but the older generation does. And so they would be gathered and they would be taking communion, and they're older. And then also they do have a healthcare system that's overwhelmed. And they did say they're not probably going to, if you're really old, they're not going to put you in ICU. And so again, when people that, I don't want to get political here, but a lot of times it's coming down to money. And if you're not contributing to society, if you're not contributing to the financial support of a society, in other words, if you're not generating revenue, then in some eyes, you're less important. I mean, businesses do this, governments do this. So, that's another reason why the older people have been dying more in Italy, I think, is because they may not be getting the type of care they might be getting if they were a true contributing. Now, that's more of a guess on my part. I don't want to disparage anyone. I'm not saying anyone's not obeying the Hippocratic Oath. I don't know if that's a universal thing, but I did read an article where they did say that they were not, the older Italians were not going to get ICU. So that's basically a death sentence in my. But pretty much throughout the U.S., I think they're closing schools. We'll see what happens. 2 weeks from now could be a big difference. It may be one of those, I don't know. In retrospect, it may be one of those things. It was just better if everybody just got it and got it over with, rather than, because we may be dragging it out this way. And there could be pockets. But another thing you can look, I'll give you some encouraging news. I've been trying to be like an encouraging force in this. For one thing, quit smoking if you smoke. If you can quit smoking, that's going to help reduce the risk. But one thing, the CBA has recalled all American basketball players. The CBA is the Chinese Basketball Association. And they're going to start playing games again in April. So they're recalling all the U.S. basketball players. and they're going to quarantine them for 14 days and test them. But then, yeah, we used to have chickenpox parties. I know we talked about that. The problem is that you wouldn't necessarily die from chickenpox. So, and the percentages are a little out of whack because there's as many as 80% of the people have the virus. They don't even know they have it, or they didn't get sick enough to even talk to a doctor. So they're not getting counted. So if you're looking at a 1% death rate of the known cases, you can take 1/5 of that down. So it could be 0.2. So now you're looking at 0.2 is about double what the normal flu would be, is a 0.1, I think, death rate of those who get it, which is 1 out of 1,000. So you might be looking at a 2 out of 1,000 ultimate. Well, if it were 3%, and then you do the 1/4 figure, now you're looking at 1/4 of 3 is 3/4. So basically 7.75. So that would be 7 times higher than normal flu. That would be very high. And this is it's relatively contagious. So yeah, I know. I saw that. I saw that. He apologized. You see, he apologized for that. He was making a joke about it, like, "Oh yeah, we got the coronavirus. I'm going to touch all the mics," and then he got tested positive for it. I was like, "Oh," it was like, "Dang it!" So yeah, it's also striking. The elite, the people in government. I mean, Iran, the was it 10% of their parliament died from it or got it? I can't remember. But you look at like the Trudeau's wife in Canada has it, so they're quarantined now. It by elite, it's the people that are, oftentimes people make fun of the people in America, like in Alabama or in Indiana. A lot of my family, they don't have passports. They've never left the country. They have no desire to leave the country, and they make fun of those people. Well, those are the places that are not getting the coronavirus because nobody there ever leaves the country, so you wouldn't bring it in. And so look at Tom Hanks and his wife. They both have it, and they're stuck in Australia until they. And I have a friend that he's in quarantine. He plays guitar for Rita Wilson. He plays guitar for Rita Wilson, and he just, as soon as he got back from Australia, had to go in quarantine. So because he was just with her, and the day after he was with her, they got tested positive. So he probably has it, but his wife's a doctor at a hospital. So they're all, kind of, everybody's kind of just, but it was really pretty much people that flew overseas are the ones that were the first cases, and they delivered it and brought it to those around them. So it's really kind of almost an elite disease at this moment. And those people that didn't have passports and live in areas where nobody has passports, they're not seeing it. They're just not getting it right now, and they will if it spreads. It does spread through the community. So that's a foregone conclusion. It's going to happen eventually, but yeah. And Gary, so many musicians will be hurting. I did mention Stage It. I'll type it in again. Stageit.com. Check it out. I don't want to put .com because I mean, I guess I could create a link. I don't think that hurts anybody. Stageit.com. And what that does is allows you to stream live concerts, and then people can just support you. You can sell tickets, even $1 a ticket, or you can do 0 if you want, no price. You could do $5 a ticket. People are more likely to tune in that way. Kelly and I did it. This girl that I write with, she and I did it, and we made $500 in 30 minutes. Now Stage It took 37% of that, so I don't want you to think that we walked away with 500. We walked away with 37% less than that. So you're looking at about, I don't know, half of 630. So, we came away with 300 and change. We just pushed that back into, now Stage It takes less. We almost got to 500. It was like 497. If you get to 500, thank you. If you get to 500, then it drops down to like 33%. And I don't know if it's 33% of the amount over 500 or if it's a total amount. If you get to 1,000, it drops down to like 28%. If you get down, it's like a regressive tax. If you bring in, $100,000, and they only take 2% or something, I don't know. But what it is it's live stream, but it doesn't archive. So it's a one-time thing. You promote it on all your social media, and you say, hey, we're going to be Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be live on stageit.com. Come and check us out. Join us. We're going to do some new songs. We're going to do some old songs. and that kind of thing. We're going to do some covers or whatever. I think part of that pay, okay, we could have done covers. Actually, we didn't do any covers, but we could have. Part of the pay the 37% is actually, I think, to take care of any covers that you do. So that's kind of cool too. So if you do covers, you can still go live. So it's crazy. I mean, you could feasibly have people, you know, they might come and see you at a bar and pay nothing to get in and get 2 or 3 drinks and think, oh, I helped the band, and you know, you got your $100, but you could do literally from your living room, you could do a 30-minute set and make a lot more money, and people are watching, and you can drink for free practically at home compared to a bar. So it's actually a really cool little thing. So check that out, stageit.com. If you are a musician and you're not able to perform anymore, we're gonna do Kelly and I are gonna do some shows, and like I said, my church is basically doing that right now because we normally have about 10,000 people every weekend, and we can't have anybody. So we're gonna do a live stream at 6 o'clock tonight, and then they're gonna rebroadcast it tomorrow. So I get Sunday off, which is nice. I don't have to get up at 6 o'clock. Okay, so I've got to go too. I'm going to get ready for church, and I've got to. I'm going to do some prep work. I'm doing a video every Thursday at 2. I'm dropping them, so I got another one coming out that is how to string your guitar, high strung, electric, and acoustic. What gauges I used, so that's coming. And then I've got another one where I talk about that Harmony Bobcat. So I'm, kind of a cool tool, vintage edition, and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's right. You could totally use Stageit to promote stuff too, and you can take Stageit money and donate it if you want as well. So if you don't need the money that you make from Stageit.com, you can donate that or make it a fundraiser or something. So it's pretty cool. So anyway, God bless you people. I guess all of you, thank you so much for watching. I may do another one of these next Saturday. So it's going to be pretty mellow on the weekends for me right now because our church is cut back to 1 service live stream. And so my weekends aren't as packed. I'm not going to be as tired. I'll be able to sleep in on Sunday. Yay. And I always enjoy doing these. I almost wish I could see all your faces. We could do it on Google. What's that Google? What's the Google thing that, what's that called? Google. Because I've done that before where I did an interview where I was interviewed by a bunch of composers. So I'm not supposed to touch my face, but I haven't been out in public, so I'm good. All right. So God bless you, everyone. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. Duets. Oh, yeah, you can do duets. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.